A young student once approached a Shaolin master and asked with curiosity, "Master, how can I change my destiny? My life feels ordinary, and I want a better future." The master looked at him calmly and walked toward a small stream flowing beside the temple. The water moved slowly but steadily between the rocks. The master pointed to the stream and said, "Long ago, this stream did not exist. It began with only a single drop of rain falling from the sky." The student listened carefully as the master continued, "One drop alone cannot carve a path through the earth, but when countless drops follow the same direction again and again, they create something powerful." The master then turned to the student and said, "Your destiny works exactly the same way." The student looked thoughtful, but still slightly confused. The master gently explained that people often believe destiny is shaped by one big decision or one lucky moment. Many wait for a perfect opportunity to suddenly change their lives, but the master said that life rarely changes in one dramatic moment. Instead, it quietly transforms through the habits people repeat every single day. Waking up early, practicing discipline, learning something new, controlling anger, and showing patience are small actions that may appear insignificant at first. Yet when these actions are repeated day after day, they slowly shape a person's character, strength, and future. The master told the student that habits are like drops of water falling on the same stone. One drop cannot change the stone, and even 100 drops seem useless. But thousands of drops falling in the same place eventually carve a deep mark into the rock. In the same way, small daily habits slowly carve the path of a person's destiny. If someone repeats lazy habits, avoids effort, and wastes time every day, their future will slowly follow the same direction. But if someone practices discipline, learning, patience, and courage every day, their future will gradually become stronger and brighter. The student then realized that destiny is not a mysterious force controlling life from above. Instead, it is built quietly through daily choices. The master smiled and said, "Every day you are shaping the person you will become tomorrow. Even the smallest improvement matters. Reading a few pages each day, training the body a little longer, thinking positively, or helping others can slowly transform a person's life." The master reminded the student that greatness does not appear suddenly. It grows slowly from consistent effort, just like the small stream that began with simple drops of rain and eventually became a powerful flow of water. The student looked again at the stream and finally understood the lesson. What seemed small and unimportant could become powerful with time and consistency. The master placed a hand on the student's shoulder and said softly, "Do not underestimate the power of daily habits. A great destiny is not built in a single day. It is built in the quiet discipline of ordinary days." The student bowed with respect, realizing that his future was not something distant or mysterious. It was already being created through the small habits he would choose to repeat every single day. One peaceful morning in the Shaolin temple courtyard, the master gathered his students for a simple lesson. The sun had just begun to rise, and the air was calm and quiet. The students stood in a circle, waiting for the master's words. Instead of giving a long speech, the master slowly opened his hand and showed them a small seed. He walked to each student and placed one seed in their palm. The students looked at the tiny seeds with curiosity. Some wondered how something so small could possibly hold any meaning. The master then spoke gently, "Plant this seed in the soil and take care of it every day. Water it, protect it, and observe it closely." The students followed the master's instructions. Each of them planted the seed near the temple garden. Some students watered their seeds every morning, carefully checking the soil and making sure the small plant would have enough sunlight. They treated the seed with patience and attention, even though nothing seemed to happen at first. But other students quickly lost interest. After planting the seed, they forgot about it. Some skipped watering it, while others assumed the plant would grow on its own. Days passed quietly, and the garden looked almost the same as before. After several weeks, the master called the students back to the garden. He asked them to stand beside the place where they had planted their seeds. Some students smiled proudly because small green plants had grown from the soil. Their leaves were fresh and alive, reaching gently toward the sunlight. Other students looked down with embarrassment because their soil remained dry and empty. Their seeds had never grown into anything. The difference between the two results was clear, and the students immediately understood that something simple had created two very different outcomes. The master walked slowly through the garden and looked at each student's spot. Then he said calmly, "This small garden is a reflection of your life." The students listened carefully as the master explained that success, strength, wisdom, and skill grow in the same way as a seed. They cannot appear overnight. They require patience, care, and daily attention. Reading a few pages every day, practicing discipline, learning from mistakes, and improving small skills may seem slow and unexciting. But these actions are like watering the seed. With enough time and consistency, they grow into something powerful and meaningful. The master then looked at the students whose plants had not grown. He did not criticize them. Instead, he said gently, the seed was the same for everyone. The difference was not luck or talent. The difference was daily care. He explained that many people in life want success, wisdom, and strength, but they forget to nurture the habits that allow those things to grow. Just like a plant cannot survive without water and sunlight, a person's potential cannot grow without consistent effort and discipline. The students looked again at the small plants in the garden, and the lesson became clear. The master finished by saying, "Your destiny is not something you find one day. It is something you grow." Every habit, every effort, and every action repeated daily is like water for the seed of the future. Those who nurture their habits patiently will eventually see strong results, while those who ignore them will wonder why nothing grows in their lives. The students bowed respectfully, understanding that their future, like the small plants in the garden, depended on what they chose to care for every single day. One afternoon, a tired traveler arrived at the Shaolin temple seeking guidance. His clothes were dusty from the long road, and his face carried the weight of frustration. After greeting the Shaolin master respectfully, he said, "Master, I work hard every day, yet my life never seems to improve. No matter how much I try, I remain in the same place. Why does nothing change for me?" The master quietly observed the traveler for a moment, noticing the impatience in his voice and the heaviness in his mind. Instead of answering immediately, the master asked him a simple question. "Tell me, what do you do every morning when the sun rises?" The traveler thought for a moment and replied honestly, "I usually wake up late because I sleep very late at night. Then I rush through the morning, feeling tired and annoyed. I often complain about my problems and think about how unfair life is. I promise myself that tomorrow will be better, but the next day ends up feeling the same." The master listened carefully and nodded slowly. He then said in a calm voice, "You are expecting a different life while repeating the same habits." The traveler looked surprised, realizing that he had never truly considered how his daily routines were shaping his life. The master explained that many people want change, success, and peace, but they rarely change the small actions that fill their days. Life moves quietly in the direction of daily habits. If someone fills their days with delay, complaints, and negative thoughts, their future will slowly grow in the same direction. But if someone fills their days with discipline, learning, patience, and effort, their future will gradually become stronger and more meaningful. The master said, "Your destiny is not a mystery. It is the result of the patterns you repeat every day." To help the traveler understand the lesson more deeply, the master invited him to stay at the temple for 1 week. The traveler agreed, curious about what he might learn. The next morning, he woke up before sunrise with the monks. At first, it felt difficult because his body was not used to waking so early. But the monks began the day with quiet meditation, allowing their minds to become calm and focused. After meditation, they trained their bodies with discipline and practiced simple movements that required patience and control. Throughout the day, the traveler noticed that the monks followed a clear routine. They trained, studied, worked, and helped each other without complaining. Even when tasks were difficult, they remained calm and focused. Slowly, the traveler began to follow the same habits. He woke up early, practiced silence, trained his body, and helped with simple tasks around the temple. After a few days, something unexpected happened. His mind felt lighter, his body felt stronger, and his thoughts became clearer. For the first time in a long while, he felt a sense of peace. At the end of the week, the traveler returned to the master and said, "Master, I feel different. My mind is calmer and my energy feels stronger. I did not realize how much my habits were affecting my life." The master smiled gently and replied, "Your future is the shadow of your daily actions. Wherever your habits walk, your destiny follows." The traveler finally understood that the life he had been living was simply the result of the routines he repeated every day. By changing those routines, he had already begun to change the direction of his future. Before leaving the temple, the traveler bowed deeply to the master. He realized that destiny was not something waiting far away in the future. It was something being created every morning through the choices he made and the habits he practiced. As he walked down the mountain path, he carried with him a simple but powerful lesson. If he wanted a different life, he had to live each day differently. His destiny would no longer be shaped by complaints and delay, but by discipline, effort, and purposeful habits. One cold winter evening at the Shaolin temple, the master gathered his students in a quiet courtyard. The wind moved gently through the trees, and the ground felt hard beneath their feet. In the center of the courtyard lay a large, heavy stone that had probably been there for many years. The students looked at the stone with curiosity, wondering what lesson the master was about to teach. Without saying much, the master simply gave them a strange instruction. He said, "Every day, each of you will come here and push this stone with all your strength." The students were confused, but they trusted their master and agreed to follow the instruction. The next morning, the students returned to the courtyard and began pushing the stone one by one. Some used their shoulders, others used both hands, and a few tried with all their strength. But the stone barely moved. It felt too heavy, almost impossible to shift even a little. After pushing for some time, the students became tired and frustrated. One of them finally said, "Master, this stone is too heavy. Our effort is useless." The master simply replied, "Return tomorrow and push it again." Though they did not fully understand the purpose, the students followed the command and returned again the next day. Days turned into weeks, and every day the students continued pushing the stone. Sometimes the stone seemed completely unmoved, which made the students feel that their effort had no meaning. A few students even started to believe the master was testing their patience, rather than teaching them something useful. Yet they continued the task because they respected their teacher. Gradually, something small began to happen. The stone started shifting ever so slightly across the courtyard floor. At first, the movement was so small that it was almost impossible to notice. but over time the change became visible. After several weeks, the master gathered the students again around the stone. They looked down and realized that the stone had slowly moved several feet from its original place. The students were surprised. They had pushed it many times before without seeing any clear progress, yet now the stone had definitely changed position. The master then spoke calmly and said, "You see this stone? It did not move because of one powerful push. It moved because of many small pushes repeated every day." The students listened carefully as the master continued explaining the deeper lesson. The master told them that life often works in the same quiet way. People sometimes expect instant results from their efforts. They want success, strength, wisdom, and skill to appear quickly. But real progress rarely happens in a single dramatic moment. Instead, it happens slowly through daily discipline and repeated effort. Practicing a skill every day, studying every day, improving the mind every day, and staying consistent even when results are not visible may feel frustrating. But just like the stone, these small daily actions slowly move the obstacles in life. The master reminded them that many people quit too early because they cannot see immediate progress. They push once or twice and then give up, believing their effort is useless. But those who continue pushing with patience eventually see movement. Discipline, consistency, and persistence are invisible forces that slowly shape a powerful future. The stone in the courtyard was a simple demonstration of this truth. The students finally understood why the master had given them such a strange task. What once felt like pointless work had become a powerful lesson about patience and perseverance. They realized that the greatest achievements in life are not created through sudden bursts of effort, but through steady actions repeated over time. As the sun slowly set behind the temple walls, the students bowed to the master with new understanding, knowing that every small effort they made each day was quietly moving the stones that stood in the path of their destiny